upgrade or not to upgrade? That is the question, and it only becomes even more pressing with Apple products. I like to think of Cupertino as the automaker of tech, where since design is one of the most important pillars of its products, it's also one of the major reasons why it doesn't change that often. I mean, my new MacBook Pro carries a design that's 5 years old, and you'll see that permeate across the board. Where you will see innovation is in features, which is one of the major reasons why looks can be deceiving. On one corner, we have Apple's best and most changed iPhone of 2020, and on the other, we have its 2021 successor. If you judge them by the looks, you'd assume they're the same phone, but I think you'll be impressed by the differences. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and this is iPhone 13 Pro Max versus iPhone 12 Pro Max, sponsored by SUPCASE. Stick around to learn how you can win an iPhone 13 Pro Max and an iPhone 13 of your own. Let me start by saying that if you're eyeing to upgrade between the iPhone 12 Pro and the 13 Pro, that one is a true no-brainer. We're not even going to make a video about that. The changes between both phones are just so dramatic that you most definitely should. Whereas in the case of the Pro Maxes, it's actually not as simple as you think. First of all, I mean, look at them. Unless you grab this new Sierra Blue color, being able to tell them apart is pretty hard. Both are just as elegant, made of the same glossy stainless steel with the same frosted back. Neither is what I'd call easy to handle with one hand, with the new model being 12 grams heavier, meaning you really won't notice. I do recommend you choose a darker color regardless of which phone you pick, as the 12 Pro Max didn't age that well with the micro scratches if you watch my After the Buzz. It's really not until you lay them flat on the table that you start noticing differences. The camera hump on the new 13 Pro Max is not just larger in footprint, but also protrudes a bit more for reasons we'll discuss soon. Now flip them around and those changes continue. Really, the only things that are shared are the minimal thickness on the bezels, the ceramic shield protection, and the HDR and Dolby Vision certifications. Everything else on the 13 Pro Max is new, from the brighter panel, now at 1000 nit brightness, even if peak levels are the same, but the biggest update is variable refresh rate at 120 Hz. This means that the panel is more power efficient in basic tasks and smoother when taxed with constant movement or whatever games support it. Yes, there's also a smaller notch with a rearranged earpiece on the Pro, but I'm not exactly sure I like the fact that it slightly gets in the way of 18:9 content, or that you're really not getting more information on the top indicators. We had the option to lose the touch bar, but I'll admit that it doesn't really bother. Dual firing speakers on both are excellent though. Feel that way about the large palm rest, but it comes on the inside, the differences sort of continue. Apple's new A15 Bionic is already regarded as one of the most powerful chips out there, but then the A14 Bionic uses nearly the same architecture. Both have the same RAM and start at the same storage, but the 13 gets a 1 terabyte option. Same 5G capabilities along with the rest of the antennas. Same IP rating, same MagSafe capabilities, even if the 13 can charge slightly faster. Now, if you're wondering why the 13 Pro Max is heavier, that's because the battery is dramatically larger than on the 12 Pro Max, and it shows. I was seriously disappointed by the endurance on last year's iPhone, but this year, this is easily a day and a half to 2-day phone, even if I can't tell you that one connects better than the other, as I tested both on Verizon's network, or handle phone calls better. I can't even say that iOS 15 is any better on either phone. There's obviously no one software feature on the 13 Pro Max that the 12 Pro Max doesn't support, so I won't even bore you there. The dramatic changes are in the camera department, and they are so substantial, at least in the hardware, that you will need a new case if you're upgrading, and this is where channel sponsor SUPCASE has you covered. Those of you looking to go minimalistic without losing that metallic feel, there's the UB Edge, that now even includes the option for a screen protector. Those looking for a bit of color, the UB style comes in lots of color options to match whatever combo speaks to you. Those looking for complete protection, the award-winning UV Pro is still unmatched in durability and all the perks you get for the price. Follow the first link in the description to give SUPCASE a try, and don't forget to participate in our giveaways while you're at it. Seriously, if you look at the spec sheet, the 13 Pro Max has a lot better sensors and optics to handle the most demanding of scenarios, at least from a phone. Obviously, for you, what matters is the results, and this is where things get interesting. I'm gonna confess that during the day, I even got confused if I was pulling results from the same camera on both, because in most cases, they're identical. From the color science to the results from the optics, you can hardly tell one is different than the other, and that's both in the primary and the ultra-wide. Once you punch in, you'll notice slightly more detail from the 13 Pro Max, and obviously it can push a bit further up to 15x, but let's be real, full zoom is not usable on either. Apple made a big deal about their photo profiles, and it is pretty cool to be able to tweak your iPhone 13 Pro Max to get a little punch and contrast like a pixel, but it seems the gloom doesn't allow that to be noticeable. Also, keep in mind that both phones support Pro RAW if you'd like to change that in post instead. Maybe the only point where I'm annoyed at the moment with the 13 Pro Max is the fact that I cannot disable the macro mode. And it is cool to have it, but sometimes I really like close-ups, and the camera forces the ultra-wide for those in order to enable the macro option, assuming that you would not like the shallow depth of field that the 12 Pro Max has no problem in producing. Even if you flip to selfies and portraits, there's really no difference. It's the same module, and at most you have changes in processing given the new chip, but I actually drift to liking the 12 Pro Max a bit more for its warmth and low light. Now that said, this is where you totally notice the difference from the back cameras. Once you start trying to use the ultra-wide or the telephoto during the night, yeah, the 13 Pro Max obliterates them. This time the phone is not just taking less time to capture the image, but also produces dramatically better results, even if the primary photos are comparable. Switch over to video though, and here's the thing, I mean, surely the 12 Pro Max doesn't support the cinematic video that I debate given the frame rate, and sure, it will never get the ProRes whenever that happens on the new one, but in absolutely everything else, I feel comfortable recommending either phone just as much for standard capture at 4K at up to 60 frames per second, regardless if you're using the primary or the selfie cameras. This is still my favorite B camera to get some work done, and I'm talking about both smartphones. To conclude, don't say that I didn't warn you that this isn't as easy as it seems. They both look nearly identical, but they don't necessarily behave the same. If anything, I'd say the 13 Pro Max is everything the 12 Pro Max should have always been, but a year later. We now have high refresh rate, an improved camera system, and better battery life. If you're debating the upgrade and have the option for a trade-in, I do feel it's worth it. Apple and a lot of US carriers are giving out some really good money for the old 12 Pro Max, so I feel that swap is a no-brainer if you qualify. Now, if I had to pick between the 12 Pro Max with a discount or second-hand versus the 13 Pro Max, that's when things get tough. Since I'm a creator, I do find a benefit in the updates, so that ends the debate for me. Now, in your case, it really depends on how much you care about the changes. I do feel they're worth the price difference, as I feel the 13 Pro Max is a far better implementation than its predecessor, but again, that's coming from a creator's point of view. Let us know which one would you pick in the comments down below, and while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on my personal handles to actually pick the iPhone 12s Pro Max, because that's pretty much what it is, and it's actually pretty good. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.